So, welcome. First, we welcome ourselves as presence. Which is the recognition that everything is effortlessly welcomed. And this welcoming is our true self. Not some decision we make, not some effort we exert. Rather, it is simply how it is. These words you hear, this perception you perceive, this sensation you sense, by your very nature, choicelessly, because there is nothing at stake for anyone. Like the surface of the pond is available to the sunshine, you are this availability. Everything appears to you in this moment, moment by moment. Like the sunshine appears, like clouds appear, like the wind appears. You are transparent. To whatever appears. whatever appears to you is not separate from you. Like the ripple on the surface of the pond appears, but it's not separate from the pond. Like a sensation appears to you, it's not separate from you. You being this awareness. So invite yourself to simply rest as awareness. Not as any form or any object. Not as any person with a history, any future. But as awareness, which is not in time. Awareness does not appear as an object, as a form, as a sensation, as an emotion. It is beyond appearance. And yet, no appearance is beyond it. Like the pond does not appear within the ripples on its surface. But there is no ripple which does not appear within the pond. When you confuse yourself to be somebody who is appearing as an object in the world, as a mind, you are overlooking your reality as this transparent awareness. So invite your experience to be like a floating experience within the space of awareness, without focusing on anything in particular. So that your experience is merging, dancing, floating. And because you are not focusing on any particular aspect of your experience, it merges into awareness. Because in fact, it has always been awareness itself. This moment taking on the form of hearing, sensing, perceiving, feeling. Borderless awareness. There is only one I, one self, one reality. And this I is that which hears these words right now. It's not made out of flesh and bones. It's not made out of memories and hopes and despairs. It is not a male or female awareness. And this I is not located inside the body or inside the room or inside a world. Whatever is located inside the room or inside the world or inside the body is that which you perceive, which we refer to as mind. The concept of a tree, the concept of a lake, the concept of a world. Thoughts, sensations. They have no existence of their own outside of awareness. The body, meaning bodily sensations and perceptions, appears in the same space where a thought appears. A sensation appears in the same space as a memory, as an image. A thought appears in the same space that the oak tree appears in. There isn't a separate space called the world and a separate space called the mind and a separate space called the body. The separation of the world, the body, the mind is a conceptual classification. While in fact, our experience, which is always this moment, is not divided into world, body, and mind. The division is an afterthought. A conceptual classification. That serves its purpose. It is like dividing the ocean into the northern sea and the southern sea. Or dividing the body into various parts. Or dividing yourself into me and not me. All these divisions are conceptual. And when we don't realize the conceptual aspect of the division of consciousness into me and not me, then we feel that we are some form. We feel that we are within a certain balloon or cocoon, living inside the body, facing an external world. We feel we exist in time, while time is your dream. A thought appears to you about yesterday, about your grandmother, about when you were a young boy or girl. These thoughts appear to you. The impression of time appears to you. Nothing wrong with that. Except when you believe yourself to be inside time, to be a subject of time or a product of time. Time is a concept. When we are hungry, we eat. When we are tired, we rest. When we feel happy, we dance. When we feel lonely, we seek company. When we feel the need for bonding, we reach out to friends, lovers. Where is time in all of that? Now our society is ruled by time, not by happiness, not by joy, freedom, celebration, and beauty, and friendliness. It is ruled by time. Hurry, hurry. Because we believe we exist in time. We are possessed by time and worry and concern and fear. But you do not exist in time. You exist, period. Time appears in existence. Existence does not appear in time. The oak tree in the yard has no age. It was never born. The entire universe is contained in the acorn. Where is the acorn contained? Do not consider yourself to be somebody. Do not consider yourself to be a son, a daughter, a mother, a father, a man, a woman. Do not. Let the body be what it is. Do not define yourself as the body or as the mind. Just Do not define yourself, period. Do not worry and be concerned about feelings and emotions and thoughts. They're just appearances. They do not define you. They do not limit you. You, being this not knowing beingness. Being, not knowing. This open field of knowing, not knowing. I know, but I do not know. And it's so perfect. Turn your attention not downstream, but upstream. Not where you are going, but where you are coming from. Everything comes from you. Not your mind, not your body. Well, there is a question that was sent to me, which I will address at some point. But for now, if there are any questions, please make sure to unmute yourself.
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Fernando.
you say something about free will. What's the difference between choice and free will, or about the topic, please?
Yes. So concerning the choice, a couple of things. We believe that there is a personal chooser, which we refer to as me. I am choosing this or that. This is the most common belief among humanity. But when you take a closer look at this person that you believe and you feel is making a choice, you don't find such a person. You find the thought that there is a person, there is a me, I'm making the choice. There is a person. You may find a feeling also, but you will not find a separate person that is making a choice. And yet, we cannot deny this deep sense that we have that I am making the choice. The question is, where is this I that is making the choice? So there is one I, one self. And this I, this self, is right now that which is perceiving this perception. It is that which is hearing these words. But when you look for that I that is obviously right now perceiving this perception, you don't find an object. You cannot deny the perception. You cannot deny I perceive. But you don't find that there is some center somewhere behind the eyes or inside the brain, or something that's inside sitting on the chair. You don't find them. You don't find a mechanism, an objective mechanism that is perceiving, right? Yet you cannot deny I perceive. So whatever it is that perceives right now is undeniable. We call it I. That I which perceives must be the same I which chooses, because it's only one I. So yes, there is a chooser I. There is a perceiver I. But this I is nowhere to be found in the phenomenal realm, in the world. It's not found in the world. So once you become free from the belief and the feeling that I, the reality which perceives right now, is a body or a mind. Once you become free from that hypnotism, this hypnotic belief, you will find that the I has always been there, is there, it's there right now, it's always been there, but it's not a limited body mind. It's not arising from the brain, it's not arising from molecules and atoms. It's not like that. So there is one chooser, and the chooser is I, but there is no personal chooser. The personal chooser is a myth which is based on the belief that consciousness is a body mind, is a limited form that is dependent on the body. Now, in terms of free will, freedom. We all have a sense of freedom. We all know freedom, not because somebody taught us, explained to us what freedom is. No, we know freedom at a deep level. Not at the level of the mind. At the level of the mind, we are free to go to Canada, or free to go to France, or we're free to have a relationship with this person or that person. We're free to be kind, to be generous, not to give. At this sort of relative freedom is only étincelle, how do you say in English? Étincelle, a spark. It's a spark of our true freedom. Our true freedom is an unshakable freedom. It's not dependent on situations, conditions, thoughts, or feelings. It's fundamental. It is from that fundamental freedom that our relative freedom in the world arises. But this fundamental freedom doesn't belong to the body, because the body is limited. It can only have a relative freedom. You cannot swim under the water for more than 4 minutes. You know, the body is limited. It will die if you don't get oxygen. And this freedom doesn't belong to the mind either, because mind is, at some level, just thoughts, images, sensations, feelings, memories. They are limited. You cannot remember what you had for breakfast 5 days ago. You cannot remember what thought you had 10 minutes ago. So limited. So the freedom, the fundamental freedom, is not the freedom of the body or of the mind. is the freedom of reality, freedom of being, the freedom of the self, the freedom of God's freedom in religious terms, the freedom of consciousness, the freedom of universal beingness. And we know that freedom, we sense it at a deep level, because the I is not separate from this freedom. We are not separate from the totality. We are not a limited aspect of reality. We are reality. Like in the ocean, every drop of water is made out of H2O. H2O. Not one drop of water has HO. No, it has to be H2O. Our being is the essence of the universe, of the world, of the bodies, is the reality. Whatever this reality is, we know that in this moment is a reality. The reality may not be the conversation between Magdi and Fernando, because it could be a dream. But even if this is a dream conversation, there is a reality. And this reality is here right now. And we don't know this reality as conversation or thoughts or images. We know this reality as awareness. Not conceptually. We know it as awareness because we are aware, because we are awareness. This knowing is a much stronger knowing than knowing something conceptually. It's like you can know about a mango, but when you taste the mango, you can know the color, the weight. You can feel the mango, you can see a mango, but the taste is this knowing of our freedom. We know our freedom because we know it, we are it. So this free will is confused with the personal freedom. You say, oh, I'm endowed with free will, so I can do what I want. So as a person, it becomes like a personal freedom. But in personal freedom, there is no freedom, because the separation, the sense of separation, is already on board and has failed to see the freedom, to be the freedom. When you have a personal freedom, you have reduced freedom to some concept, to some idea about freedom. But the idea about freedom and the personal freedom is not the real freedom. So the question then, in terms of living, is how do we live our freedom? Not our personal freedom, but the freedom of being. You see? Meaning my freedom and your freedom is the same freedom. And the freedom of the dog, the pets, the freedom of the universe, the freedom of the birds is the same freedom. It's not like, oh, you have more freedom, I have more freedom than the birds, more freedom than the turtle, blah, blah, blah. No, it's freedom, period, across the board. How do we live as this universal freedom? You see, it's a good question. Because when we are living with this concern and worry and fear, we are not living God's freedom. We are living personal worry and concern, and we want to get our personal freedom to overcome something, you say, want to overcome something. But in God's freedom, there's nothing to overcome. You don't need to overcome to become free. You don't need to become free. But how come we don't experience the freedom? Is we compress it, we suppress it. It's like we keep the lid on our freedom.
Mm-hmm.
We keep the lid on our freedom by our identity, our identification. We are afraid of letting go of our identification, our image, our history, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We are identification. It's one thing to have a body, a car, a house, but the identification is different. You see, it's like when you're identified, you're afraid. What's going to happen to it? Is it going to be, how long is it going to last? 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, 1,000 years? So, identification with my tribe, my religion, my body, my health, my feelings, my beliefs, my ideas, my pride, I need to be respected, you know. You shouldn't talk to me this way. I have to be addressed in a certain way, blah, blah, blah. So it's really something, Fernando, to explore living the freedom, the internal. You're free to celebrate every moment. Every moment is like such a freedom. It's a gift from God, you know, this moment. But we contract. So we don't put our foot on the ground, on the earth. We don't put our foot well on the earth. We put our foot, but we the next foot, we are going somewhere, let's say. So we to enjoy being, to enjoy being. And of course, we honor everybody's freedom. It's not like, oh, my, you know, to invite ourselves to serve. How wonderful. Not the experience, but the flavor of freedom, the joy of freedom.
Yeah. We can say that the freedom is our true nature also, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And the other one, the personal freedom, is the small freedom. It's like just the freedom to choose between Coca and Pepsi and that kind of things. But the other one, the true freedom, belongs to the realm of spirit, or the realm of awareness.
Yes. In fact,
that's what I understand from your answer, which is very nice.
Yes. And there is only one reality. So there isn't a personal freedom, it's an imaginary. Because if the personal self was real, then personal freedom would be real. And then we would have two realities. We would have the personal reality and God's reality, or universal reality. Reality is one. It's one. It's not made out of Magdi's freedom and Fernando's freedom, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not divided that way. It's imaginary. Personal freedom is imaginary. First, we put ourselves in the jail. The first thing we do, we say, okay, I'm going to put myself in the jail. I'm going to become a body. And I'm going to put myself in the jail for 9 years. Okay, and then I am going to live my freedom, my personal freedom. You know, the jail, okay, maybe it's 20 yards by 50 yards, I don't know, 15 meters, whatever, but it's still a jail. We put ourselves in the jail. And then we want to be free. Just don't put yourself in the jail. Like you said, freedom is our true nature. Don't put yourself in the jail. Don't identify yourself as whatever, this, my past, what happened to me, who I am, my sexuality, my money, my ethnicity, blah, 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 etc. It's like we have God's garden. It's made out of all these plants and flowers, and the perfume of everything is all there. And then we say, oh no, we're going to divide the garden into, we're going to have a rose garden, we're going to have a rosemary garden, we're going to have a cherry orange blossom garden. We make a wall, 5, 10, 20 walls, and say, okay, this is how, but that's not how God's garden is. It's everything equally. So of course, when you are making a choice, the choice is always in the moment, in the present, in now. We don't make a choice yesterday or we make a choice tomorrow. We make a choice now. Or we don't make a choice now because I'm not ready to make a choice. So I don't make a choice, and then whoop, I make a choice. It doesn't matter what choice you make. What matters is as what do you make the choice? As from what position you are making the choice? Are you making the choice from a position of personal fear and worry and concern and greed and envy, blah, blah, and jealousy, sense of lack, fear of losing, fear of missing? Are you making the choice out of, or are you making the choice out of intelligence, love, peace, interest, passion? And of course, when you're making the choice out of intelligence and joy and happiness, you are not making the choice for your personal self. That's a two different positions. This does not mean that all the choices are easy choices. You could have a very difficult choice because you have time pressure sometimes, and you have information. You need some information, you don't have it, or it's too complicated to decipher. So there are many situations where decisions is, what choice do I make? It's not so easy. So you take your time with choice until you get to some sort of clarity or capacity to make the choice from some intelligence or some sense of peace. Or if you must make the choice, sometimes we don't have time. So then it's not clear. Choice A, choice B, choice C, I don't know. So you make the best choice. You say, okay, I feel maybe choice A is better, I don't know. So you make the choice, but you know that you're not sure. But you accept that because you have to make the choice. Now it's the world and is telling you, okay, you have to make a choice. So you make this choice and you know you don't have the full information, but you make it. So therefore you don't go back and regret. You don't go back and say, oh, I regret. No, you knew you didn't have all the data, you were not ready to make the choice. You had to make the choice. You made the best choice you can at the time. Move forward. How it develops, we will see. We will see. Then we deal with the new situation. But no, we don't go regret. Oh, I should have, why didn't I? And blah, blah, blah. We create the me, the fictitious personal self that was supposed to know better. That's what we do. Often we do that.
Excuse me, Magdi. My battery is low. I'm going to bring the charger, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay. Sorry for the my absence.
No problem.
Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, now the charger is
good
on.
Yes, it's wonderful. Okay. Yeah, so I think I spoke enough about choice and free will, you know. We have to enjoy life. Enjoy, not later. Enjoy life. Celebrate it. It's not ignorance to celebrate life. It's not. It's ignorance to be miserable. But to be happy, to be free, to be lighthearted, to be fluid, to be simple, to be natural, to be sincere, to be humble. It's okay. Not to be so tough on ourselves and on others. Anyways, I'm gonna go on rambling about
Thank you so much, Magdi. It was very nice and clarifying.
Yes,
to me.
Thank you. I always enjoy seeing your paintings, you know, whenever you post them on
thank you.
them.
Yeah, I'm very glad you like them.
Yes. Thank you, Fernando. Maybe I will take this opportunity to address the question that was sent to me by Emmanuel. So he says, a few days ago, I went to the theater to see a performance, and I found it pretty noisy. What I mean by noisy is that it was just a mind-ego play, a mind-ego expression. I went home reflecting on the value or the purpose of creative art that is not grounded on the experiential understanding of absolute truth. And I'm not sure if there is some. I mean, it is said that art is therapeutic and can change the world. But how can it be if it doesn't express truth. I see that most of art is a good entertainment, or at the most, it makes you reflect about certain social aspects, but it only scratches the surface independently of how good it is technically. It is to some extent an extension of the ignorance in which our whole society is built, and therefore contribute to the spinning of ignorance. Unless the artist behind the creative act lives and creates from the experiential understanding of absolute truth, art is superficial. Maybe the best action an artist can perform is his or her own awakening. And then when this awakening becomes a living reality in his or her human aspect, then they can go out and share this gift through some creative form. Can you comment on this? Okay, Emmanuel, I agree and disagree. I agree in part, but not in the whole. So, there is a lot of great art throughout the centuries. Sculptures, painters, musical composers, and dance choreography, dance choreographed. So there's a lot of art that expresses or takes us to the divine. It takes us to love, beauty. It takes us beyond the mind, takes us to the source. But it's not necessary that the artists, as you may be implying in your question, are sages, are happy. We can have an inspiration, a divine inspiration, a certain creative thought that does not come from the mind, but it comes to the mind. And the mind is present, has the capacity to formulate, to express this vision via their skills, their creative way of expressing this inspiration. You don't need to be established in peace and happiness to be inspired. Inspiration comes to many of us, if not all of us. But in the arts, the artist has the skills and has the creative tools to express that inspiration. But I would agree with you that there is a lot of art that is trying to get somewhere. That is is tainted by the personal desires and emotions, or there's a lot of showbiz art that's trying to just follow the wave of what is what is the most popular, what resonates to more of the people, most of the people. Yeah, there is that type of art around, maybe way too much. A business in a way, or as you say, form of egoic form to have success, to be successful. I mean, there can be success in art, but success in art doesn't necessarily mean that the art is not good. There could be art that is divinely inspired, coming from an inspiration, not from the ego. And it could lead to success in recognition, or it could lead to recognition 500 years later. I don't know. It's not essential that the art be recognized or not recognized, but definitely art that is coming from inspiration, non-personal inspiration, impersonal inspiration, will stop you and will take you through the art, if it's the perspective or the light, the play of light, or whichever way, or the movement, will take you to the source from where this is arising from. I don't have art education. I just have the appreciation, we all do. And I remember moments where I would be in front of a painting, where is something that is expressed, that is revealed through the painting, that goes way beyond the painting or the sculpture, or some of the dance choreographies. It doesn't matter. Some people have preferences towards, are more classically inclined, others more modern inclined. It doesn't matter to me. What century, what's the school that the art can be classified under, doesn't matter. It's just that when you are stopped in your track and taken to the divine in a way. So yeah, I think it's a good idea that you discriminate between, you know, what art you expose yourself to, and but I don't agree that artists need to become sages in order to do good art. No, no, no. We are all sages in a way, you know, and we are all foolish children. Don't take ignorance so real. Don't take ignorance too much at heart. It's just a play. It's not so serious. You make it serious, and so you give it power. But what is ignorance but just a belief? And who is forcing any belief onto us in this moment? Who is forcing you to identify with whatever feelings you're having or whatever ideas you're having about yourself? No one. No one. No one is forcing you to improve your feelings. But we are all enamored with our feelings, right? We love to feel good. And so we are subject to the feelings because feelings are bodily sensations and they come in all forms and shapes. But when we are attached to good feelings, it's our freedom. We will feel good sometimes, and we will feel, I guess, not good or less good for the rest of the time. Right? But who cares about feelings? What if you just remain as you are? All feelings are like the weather. It's just the weather registering here in the body. But even the weather, when it's cold, you feel it here in the body. I mean, the feeling and the sensation of cold, they're not that different, except that we give more importance to one and less importance to the other. Well, go to Siberia and you change your mind, because in Siberia, you will give a lot of importance to the weather, much more than your feelings. Anyways, yeah, we're all sages and we're all fools. So the fools, they put on foolish performances. Anyways, even the greatest artists that are inspired in, from the divine, they can be fools as well. They are not sages. They can be big time fools. You just didn't know them. Anyways, I think that was your question. If I didn't get to the core of it, we can follow up next week, next time. Any questions? Holger.
So ignorance is just the overlooking of the obvious.
Overlooking the obvious. Well,
yes.
yes. The obvious is not something that you perceive, because in our night dream, we perceive so many things. At the moment, it seems obvious, but in an instant later, it's not obvious anymore. What is obvious is not something that you perceive, that you're absolutely certain of, is not something that you perceive. It's I mean, we all experience ourselves as I. That's the most obvious. But we don't experience ourselves as a person. That's not obvious. To experience yourself as a person, you need activity. Activity of thinking, feeling. And what's obvious is the non-activity. That which is the essence of all activity. That which is not an activity or is neither activity or non-activity. That's the obvious. But you cannot use the wrong tool to apperceive the obvious. You cannot use feelings and sensations and ideas and mind to apperceive the obvious. The obvious, you apperceive it via the obvious. You apperceive awareness via awareness. Awareness is always on board 24/7. As a way of speaking, of course, it's not in time. So to apperceive awareness is a direct perception or apperception. Direct perception is a perception that goes directly to its referent, to that to which it is referring. So the awareness refers to itself. It does not refer to a table, a tree, a car, a body. it refers to itself. But a chair does not refer to itself. Table, tree. Intelligence refers to itself. Beauty refers to itself. Freedom refers to itself. Happiness refers to itself. You cannot know it. You cannot know happiness via a sensation, via experience, via a feeling. It's a wrong tool. This is why when we are feeling addicts, we are in wasteland without knowing it. We are in the wrong, rowing the wrong boat. We're using the wrong tools. Because feelings do not refer to happiness. They refer to sensations, to bodily sensations. A dime a dozen. But happiness is not a dime a dozen. It's fullness, it's the fullness. It refers to itself. So you say, well, how do I refer to awareness? Via awareness. It's simply by not referring to awareness via anything else. Do not refer to yourself via anything else but I. That's the elephant in the room. That's the obvious.
And can we say that this little teeny overlooking causes all the trouble in our human existence here?
Well, you know, I remember like for years, for decades, I was happy, but there was a little something, you know, so I was always alert to this something that was the party pooper. You know, it's like you have a grain of sand, teeny tiny, not even a grain of sand, that's too big, tiny dust in your eye. It blurs your entire vision. I mean, you're rubbing your eye. Or if you put your finger in, you look at the world with the finger in front of your eye, just a finger, it obstructs maybe 30% of your vision. So the wide open sky with no dust in the wide open sky. Not a grain of dust. But I don't want to sound like so. It's simpler than that. Just our natural way of being, the beingness of us, the being of us. Is it the being? It's the being. And of course, we already are. Not we are as this or that. No, just are. Of course, we can dance. But that doesn't disturb being. It doesn't disturb being. Except if you imagine that being is a good dancer or bad dancer must, if you identify somehow being with the dancer, you see. But being dances all dances without identification. It's how natural it is. Non-identification is a natural way. Because you cannot paint the sky. You cannot paint the sky pink. It's just a play of light. When the sky is pink, it's actually colorless, but it's a play of visual play, cortex, visual cortex. You see blue sky or red sky, but the sky is colorless, you know, as a metaphor. And awareness is colorless. And I'm not talking theoretically, I'm talking about that the I is colorless. It's real and it's colorless. Colors is just a concept. It's part of the visual cortex. Let's say like brain waves. And then we say, oh, that's red, that's blue, that's pink, that's blah, 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 blah. So it's in the realm of colors and shapes and hues. It's conceptual, the realm of mind. Not that there's anything wrong with that. No, it's beautiful. The rainbow, beautiful. We love it. The rainbow from mountain to mountain, you see. But the rainbow is colorless. Like the baby mind before any download, even the fetus mind, even the pre-fetus mind. That's how we are. That's what we are. We don't change. It's not like consciousness becomes opaque or becomes conditioned. No.
Thank you.
Okay, okay. Okay. Lovely to be with you all, Fernando and John, Olgar, Grace, George, Mina.
Thank you.
Hello, Holly.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you, Zoe. Hi, Zoe. Kelly. Raul. Alan.
Thank you, Magdi. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, nice.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Bye-bye.
And Frank. Thank you all.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Magdi.
all.